Good evening and welcome. Tonight we delve into the complexities of our current global landscape. We're confronting a world arguably more unsettled than at any point in recent memory. The geopolitical tensions are palpable, and the stakes have never been higher. From the halls of Congress in Washington, where lawmakers grapple with unprecedented challenges, to the front lines in Ukraine, where the fight for sovereignty and freedom rages on, to the delicate balance of power in the Indo-Pacific, where military and diplomatic maneuvers shape the future, the decisions being made right now will have lasting consequences. These choices will ripple through time, affecting generations to come. We're going to break it all down for you, connect the dots, and provide the context you need to understand these events. Our goal is to make sense of this complex and rapidly changing world. We aim to offer clarity amidst the chaos. Our mandate here is simple: deliver the truth without fear or favor. So let's get started. Stay with us as we navigate through these turbulent times together. The clock is ticking on Capitol Hill, and the pressure is mounting as lawmakers scramble to find a solution. With just days left to avert a government shutdown, the urgency is palpable. The corridors of power are buzzing with activity as negotiations intensify. Republicans and Democrats remain deeply divided on spending priorities, particularly when it comes to defense and social programs. The debates are heated, and the stakes are incredibly high. The stakes couldn't be higher. A shutdown would have a ripple effect across the country, affecting millions of Americans. Essential services could grind to a halt, and federal employees might face furloughs. The impact would be felt far and wide, from federal services to the economy as a whole. Markets could react negatively, and public trust in government could erode further. We'll be speaking with lawmakers on both sides of the aisle to get their take on what's at stake, and what compromises might be possible to avoid this crisis. Stay tuned as we delve into how this high-stakes game of chicken might play out, and what it means for the future of the nation. Across the Atlantic, European leaders are meeting to discuss a new aid package for Ukraine. With the war now in its second year, Kyiv is seeking additional financial and military support to continue its fight against Russian aggression. The EU has been a steadfast ally of Ukraine since the invasion began, but questions remain about how long this level of support can be sustained. We'll analyze the latest developments and what they mean for the future of the conflict. Back in the U.S., the Supreme Court is preparing to hear a case that could have profound implications for abortion rights. The case centers on a Mississippi law that bans most abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy, directly challenging the landmark Roe v. Wade decision. Protests are expected outside the court as both sides of this deeply divisive issue make their voices heard. We'll examine the legal arguments at play and the potential consequences of the court's decision. Chapter 4. India-China border tensions simmer. In Asia, India and China are engaged in high-level talks aimed at easing tensions along their disputed border. These discussions are crucial as both nations seek to avoid any escalation that could lead to a larger conflict. The stakes are incredibly high given the military capabilities of both countries. The two nuclear-armed neighbors have been locked in a standoff in the Himalayas for over 2 years, raising fears of a wider conflict. The rugged terrain and harsh weather conditions add to the complexity of the situation, making it a challenging environment for both sides. Both sides have agreed to maintain dialogue, but progress has been slow and mistrust runs deep. The history of skirmishes and unresolved issues continues to cast a long shadow over the negotiations, making every step forward a cautious one. We'll delve into the historical context of this dispute and the challenges of finding a peaceful resolution. Understanding the roots of this conflict is essential for comprehending the current tensions and the difficulties in achieving lasting peace. Chapter 5. Australia's Climate Reckoning. Australia is facing a critical juncture in its fight against climate change. The new government has pledged to enact more ambitious emissions reduction targets but faces strong opposition from the country's powerful mining industry. The debate is playing out against a backdrop of increasingly extreme weather events that have ravaged the country in recent years. We'll explore the competing interests at stake and the potential global implications of Australia's climate choices. Chapter 6. Brazil's Amazon under threat. In Brazil, President Lula da Silva has vowed to crack down on illegal deforestation in the Amazon rainforest. The Amazon, often referred to as the lungs of the planet, plays a vital role in regulating the global climate. However, it has faced relentless pressure from logging, mining, and agricultural interests. We'll examine the challenges facing Lula's government as it seeks to balance economic development with environmental protection. On the economic front, the United States and China are resuming high-level trade talks after months of stalemate. The two economic superpowers have been locked in a bitter trade war, imposing tariffs on billions of dollars worth of each other's goods. While both sides have expressed a desire to stabilize the relationship, deep divisions remain on issues such as technology and intellectual property. Tensions are escalating on the Korean Peninsula as South Korea and the U.S. conduct joint military exercises. The drills are seen as a show of force in response to a recent series of missile tests by North Korea. Pyongyang has condemned the exercises as provocative, raising concerns about a potential miscalculation that could spiral into conflict. Canada is making significant changes to its immigration policies in a bid to attract skilled workers. Facing labor shortages in key sectors, the government is streamlining the path to permanent residency for qualified applicants. The move comes as countries around the world compete for talent in a rapidly changing global economy. We'll examine the potential impact of these policy changes on Canada's economy and society. France is facing a wave of protests and strikes over the government's controversial pension reforms. The reforms, which include raising the retirement age, have sparked widespread anger and disruption across the country. Unions argue that the changes are unfair and will disproportionately impact working-class people. We'll examine the roots of the unrest and the challenges facing the French government as it seeks to address public concerns. That's all for today's top political headlines. We've covered a lot of ground, from the halls of power to the streets where people are making their voices heard. The world is complex and constantly evolving, but by staying informed, we can better understand the forces shaping our lives. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.